Good morning. I'm Denise Smiler, Chair of the Pennsylvania Gaming Control Board. I would like to ask everyone to please turn off your cell phones and all electronic devices at this time. With 7 board members present, I'd like to now call today's meeting to order. Commissioners, pay attention. I would also like to note for the record that in addition to our 7 board members, we also have our ex officio members, George Augusto, representing Russell Redding, Secretary for the Department of Agriculture, Adria Zimmerman, representing Pat Brown, Secretary for the Department of Revenue, and Jennifer Langen, representing Stacy Garrity, State Treasurer. Thank you, ex officios, for joining us. As the first order of business, I'd like to ask everyone to please stand and join me in a recitation of the Pledge of Allegiance.
Sorry. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
By way of announcements, the board held an executive session yesterday, Tuesday, June 24th, to discuss personnel matters and to conduct quasi-judicial deliberations relating to matters coming before the board. Unfortunately, our next order of business is a part of this job that I never enjoy. Specifically, our next task is to recognize the service of Commissioner Fran Regan, since her term on the board is coming to an end, and this may be her last public meeting. For those of you who don't know, Fran has been with the board for over 4 years, having been appointed by President Pro Tem Jake Corman in 2021. Fran's prior public service includes 25 years as a federal probation officer, where she supervised people criminally convicted in federal court, conducted pre-sentencing investigations, and drafted pre-sentencing reports for the court. Fran is also, am I incorrect, Fran? Is that correct?
Oh, yes, that's correct.
Okay. Fran has also been a small business owner, teaching safety and self-defense tactics with the goal of providing women of all ages with the skills necessary to decrease risk to their personal safety. Suffice it to say that Fran's broad array of experience and knowledge, along with her unwavering attention to detail and extraordinary work ethic, have been invaluable to the board. Fran was consistent in providing a strong voice for the implementation of reasoned and fair regulations and prioritizing public safety. For one, I am going to miss you, Fran. I thank you for everything you've done for the board and for the people of Pennsylvania, and I wish you the best wherever your path takes you next. I would ask if any of my fellow commissioners would like to say a few words before I continue.
I just would also like to note that Fran makes the best baked goods. And that will also be missed, but it's definitely been a pleasure working with you. Thank you, Ms. Chair.
I'd like to say that, Fran, thank you so much for being my colleague. Thank you for sitting here next to me all these years, and I really appreciate everything you've done in terms of your insight on the board. Thank you so much, and we'll miss you.
Thank you.
Sure. And Fran, yes, we will all miss you, and we all miss the baked goods, but thank you very much. It's been a pleasure serving with you.
Me first, and then the baked goods, right?
You first.
All right, I guess I have to do this in public. I was, doing this, text you in private and saying how sad I was to see you go, but it's been an honor to work with you, and, whatever you got going forward, nothing but the best of luck to you.
Thank you so much, Sean. I appreciate it. Now, George, you got to go now, too.
I'm the new guy on the board. I've only been here for a few weeks, but it's been enjoyable. Wish you well in the future.
Thank you.
He has not had the opportunity to taste some of your...
I've got no baked goods.
That's
I will take care
Make
of
that
that.
very clear.
I will state for the record that we have a resolution honoring Fran's service to the board, which I'm not going to read, but I'll put before the board for consideration. It's Board Resolution PCGB 2025-4-EXE, Commissioner Francis J. Regan. May I have a motion on the resolution for Commissioner Regan, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dermody moves that the board approve the resolution recognizing the service of Francis J. Regan to the board.
Commissioner Dillon seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. I'm glad you voted in favor. Fran. Okay. Now we will have a scheduled public hearing on SC Gaming OpCo LLC and SC Gaming LLC's joint petition for approval of changes in corporate structure. Relating to that, we will now hear from SC Gaming and the Office of Enforcement Counsel regarding that matter. I would ask that all non-attorneys who will be presenting evidence today in this proceeding please stand and be sworn by the court reporter at this time.
Good morning. Please raise your right hand. Thank you. Do you swear, not swear, do you affirm? Yes. Thank you. And all
Thank you. I would also ask that everyone who is going to speak to please state and spell your name for the court reporter prior to your speaking. SC Gaming, you may begin.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Commissioners. My name is Michael Fabius from the law firm Ballard Spar, representing SC Gaming OpCo. With me is my partner, Adrian King, in the front row, and also Sarah Stoner, counsel for Saratoga at Eckert Siemens. Immediately to my right is Eric Pearson, who is known to the board from his prior tenure at Valley Forge and his now 5-year tenure at SC Gaming. In the front row behind us is his first hire, Jennifer Johnson, the prospective assistant general manager. But to Eric's right is Sam Garrity, CEO at Saratoga Casino Holdings, and to Sam's right is Alex Tucker, chief operating officer at Saratoga Casino Holdings. And behind me in the front row is James Featherston Ho, who's on the board for Saratoga and has been with the company for longer than I think I can count. We are going to try and be efficient with our presentation, particularly my remarks, as my remarks are going to be the driest. I'll try to give a quick overview of how we got to where we are and exactly what we're proposing to do structurally before I kick it to Eric, who I think will give the more interesting part of the presentation, which is just to give you guys an update as to where the project and development is. He'll introduce Saratoga and what we're excited about for having Saratoga in the project. And then before we close to take questions, I'll conclude with the change of control fee. So it's been a long road to get here from the 2020 auction. I was amazed that, in preparing for today's hearing, that Chair Smiler, I think you were the only one of the 7 who was on the board back when we had the auction. In 2020. I know 4 of you have joined in 2021 when we applied and were part of the board's decision in 2023 when we got licensed as a Category 4 licensee. And then during that time, during the application, during the litigation and appeal, we moved forward with the local land use and zoning so that we were ready to go when the litigation and appeal concluded. And even though Bally's ended up exiting the project in September of 2024, Eric and Sam ended up finding each other and finding that this is a remarkable opportunity where the sum of the parts can be greater. The whole is greater than the sum of the parts. In terms of the technical part of what we're trying to do, real quick, we have 2 components, two transactional components that we've put together in the same petition. One of them is hopefully familiar to the board from the licensing process. In 2020, Ira Lubert, who was the bidder and the applicant for the Category 4 license, brought in 3 other individuals that are prominent in the State College community to collaborate on selecting the site and developing the site. Those 3 individuals, Rick Sokolov, Robert Poole, and Ara Kavanjian, who controls AMKSCG, provided debt financing in 2020 in the form of a convertible note, and we're now here before you to convert that note into equity in SC Gaming LLC, which is at the top of the organizational family. So I've taken to calling it SC Topco, because everything in the family is called SC Gaming, which is what happens when you let the lawyer name the entities. At the same time, Saratoga and SC Gaming entered into a framework agreement earlier this year. That would involve Saratoga obtaining 60% of the holding company in the middle of the family, what we would call SC Holdco. And that transaction, while we are before you today for the approval of that change of control, that would be contingent on the completion of the licensing process for Saratoga. So in terms of the sequencing, we would convert the debt into equity in SC Gaming, assuming approvals are received today in the next few days. Saratoga would contribute the earnest money deposit in the next few days, I think within 5 days of the approvals. And then the licensing process would continue, and when their licensing applications come before this board and are approved, we would then close on the 60% piece of the transaction promptly thereafter. So with that, and we'll certainly come back and take any questions, I want to get the presentation over to Eric to give everyone an update on where we are with the construction and the development.
All right. Thank you so much. Thanks for giving us the time today to talk about our project. As Mike said, this has been a long road to get here. It's 5 years and lots of obstacles, but we're very, very excited to be here. So I'm trying to calibrate how much I want to talk about all the stuff that we're doing and not stretch this meeting out any longer than it needs to. But I do want to go over some highlights. One of the big things that I wanted to talk about was our process in working with Sam and the Saratoga team and coming together and developing this partnership. We found ourselves about this time last year back to what I call Plan A, which was SC Gaming, us developing and operating the casino on our own, which was always kind of our baseline intent. And we were asking ourselves the question: is this the best way for us to field a casino in Center County, in the State College area? And did a hard assessment about what our relative strengths and weaknesses were. And we came to the conclusion that if we could find the right partner, we would be able to develop a much better property for the Commonwealth and for the local community than if we had necessarily just done it on our own. And so we began a search trying to evaluate that exact right fit. I think we'd had experience where we didn't have that perfect alignment, and it didn't work out great for us. So we learned from that, and through an intensive but relatively brief process, Sam and I found each other quite literally at a bar in Las Vegas during G2E. I don't think either of us were drinking, but met up there and started talking about the project and opportunity, and really much more about our operating philosophies and our approach to the business. And it was pretty apparent to me very early on that I think we had found the right partner. And so that leads us to here today. So I'll give a quick update on our status and progress with the project. So you see here on this slide here, this is our executive team at Happy Valley Casino. And this is also our entire complement of our staff as of this moment. So not only is it our executive team, it is our team currently, but we are rapidly hiring up and building up the team. So as Mike mentioned, I've been on the project for 5 years, specifically in State College. Previous to that, I was at Valley Forge Casino before we did the transaction to Boyd Gaming. So I've been around the Commonwealth for a little while in the industry. Jennifer Johnson, who's here with us today, she most recently was the head of marketing at the Palms in Las Vegas and oversaw the reopening of that property under its new ownership. Jen and I have worked together for a long time at several different properties, including Foxwoods in Connecticut before that, and a tribal property in Spokane, Washington called Northern Quest. So she's someone that I've definitely known to depend on over a very long time. We're excited to have her. In addition to Jen, we have Veronica Weiss, who's our Executive Director of Finance. Veronica also comes from 2 different Commonwealth casinos. She most recently was at Valley Forge Casino, and before that was the head of finance at Nemacolin. So we're excited to welcome her onto the team. In addition to Veronica, we have Eric Weiss, who's our director of surveillance. Eric also has experience in security and surveillance at 2 Commonwealth casinos, both Valley Forge and Live Pittsburgh, and was, along with Jen, our first hire. I worked very closely with Eric at Valley Forge. We spent a lot of time sitting next to each other in the surveillance room, watching the action there, and so he's always been someone I've had my eye on. And then to round out our team is Stacy Grissinger. Her title says executive assistant, but she's really our project manager, kind of holding everything together at this point. On any given day, she's doing construction project management and fitting out our temp space. And so we have a small team of generalists, and we're very excited to show what we've been able to pull off thus far. So quick, as I said, we just announced our logo last month and the name for the property. We didn't think SC Gaming really rolled off the tongue for the casino's name, so we selected Happy Valley Casino. I think anyone that's sort of familiar with the State College area and Penn State knows that Happy Valley is the sort of name that we generally give the area, and fits in with what we're trying to achieve at the property. It's a fun place by definition, and so we love the gift that the area name already gave us, and I'm maybe not as creative of naming things as our attorneys are, but I do think that if we can call it, name it where it is and what it is, that's a pretty good place to start with. Next, quick overview of the project, because it has been going on for a little while. We're attached to the Nittany Mall in College Township, which is about a 550,000 square foot facility. We purchased a former Macy's, which includes the building itself and the parking parcels on either side of it. It's one of the end caps. As you can see it's a little small, but at the end of the mall there. We have great access to major roadways, and obviously it being the mall is still open. It's at about 50% occupancy, so it needs help, and we're very excited to be bringing this development in there. I don't think there's much else that could be going into that mall to bring the kind of revitalization that we're excited to see come in. So the facility itself is just under 100,000 square feet, I think about 94,000 in total. The construction schedule when we began, we estimate in February, we had about a 13-month schedule, and we have about 9 months of that remaining left to go. And I'll show some photos of our progress here in a moment. We are planned to have up to 750 slot machines, although I think at opening we'll probably have a slightly lower complement and then purchase into it, which I can talk a little bit more about later. And we're looking to have a fully non-smoking facility. One of the side benefits of the long process to get here is I've had a lot of time to do analysis and watch trends in the market and see what my colleagues in the property have done in different locations, and especially through the pandemic and the smoking changes and things like that, was able to give us a strong enough data set to have a high degree of confidence that allowing smoking inside was not mission critical. It's what we needed to do, and I think that the other benefits were definitely worth it for us. And as far as non-gaming amenities go, we're going to have a sit-down sports-themed restaurant. We have, it's definitely a sports town, and a quick-serve outlet. As far as how we got to this decision and why we picked State College, in the next couple images you can see when you lay out the. Let's hit the next one real quick. Yep. When you see the entire state, and the casino placements all around it, there was an obvious hole that we felt that we could fill, and the demographics and our analysis definitely supported that. We expect, or not expect, through our analysis, I think we will be the closest casino to roughly 400,000 gambling age adults. We think that that's those demographics and our relative distance from all other competing casinos. It's not, the population is not essentially very dense in Center County, but we do have a lot of folks that need something fun to do. And so we're very excited to bring that to the Commonwealth. We can hit the next one. So I have a few quick images that we can kind of go through real quick. I know these aren't necessarily the prettiest of photos, but I wanted to share our progress. We're super excited to be going as fast as we are and to finally be at this point. And as of when I stopped by the site yesterday, I'd say we're about 60% completed with drywall. I mean, it's really starting to look like a casino in there. These are a few images of, what do we have here? Our restaurants and things like that, but it's sort of hard to see like this. I realize after we put this up there that I'm so used to seeing the drawings every day that when I look at it, it's all filled in. And maybe not everyone else has had the benefit of staring at the images for a year or for 5 years. So maybe it's less exciting, but it's definitely coming along, and we're excited. And we're on track too. So, one of the things that I did learn, and another good takeaway that came through watching the other Cat 4s open up, is some major supply chain issues seem to have plagued, I think, the last 3 openings in meaningful ways. And that's definitely something we've been aggressively out in front of. And it mostly has to do with all the non-exciting parts of the project. It's electrical switchgear and infrastructure, backup generators, all those kinds of things. So we have a really good plan A, and if that doesn't work out, we have our plan B all fired up and ready to go. So that, if we get delayed, it's for something that, I didn't see coming. But the infrastructure stuff we have pretty squared away. Our plans for hiring and recruiting, we do have some unique challenges being where we are. Gaming is definitely a mature industry in the Commonwealth, but one of our advantages of being far away from other casinos means that we likely aren't tapping into a talent pool of experienced casino workers for the most part, which we're very excited about. We're going to open up a dealer school and fully committed to training those new staff that come in. For me personally, I really enjoy the development side, the professional development side of what I do, and bringing new people on and helping them progress through the industry. And this is the perfect property for that. In all of our recruiting and sourcing activities that we had so far, we're looking for people looking to transition in their career, folks that are looking for that next shot. And, with our relatively small size and the strength of our executive team, we're very well suited to take in those folks and, augment on, a few other areas that may be missing and help them progress through their career too. We're probably looking to really start hiring, ramping up in earnest in probably the September timeframe, and getting our dealer school going and all that fired up. But we've been attending local job fairs and just to get our name out so that we have a presence, we have the table set up. And we've seen a tremendous amount of interest in folks excited that the casino's coming, looking to get jobs there. There's been announcements with potential closers at the prison that's nearby, and we've had a huge flood of interest from incredibly qualified candidates that work there that for us was a fantastic timing thing to align. So we're very excited to be welcoming as many folks as from there that would like a position. So we're looking to have around 350 employees once we get open and stabilized. We have an excellent benefits package. That was another thing that, is part of our vetting process and potential partners. We really spent a lot of time looking in and see how does Saratoga treat their employees? What is it like working at their other properties? And it was just another level of alignment. So we're excited to offer those same benefits to our staff when we get fired up here. So I had a whole lot more that I was trying to drone on into, but I'm going to try and be as brief as I'm capable. So I'll stop now and hand it over to Sam.
We appreciate that.
Okay, noted. Good morning, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Thank you very much for having us here today. We're extremely excited and grateful for the opportunity to introduce and familiarize you with Saratoga Casino Holdings. We look forward to sharing how our values guide everything we do, from our strategic approach to growth to the strong relationships we build with our customers and our communities. Quickly, so we are a third-generation family-owned business with more than 80 years of experience in the horse racing industry and over 2 decades of experience in the casino, hotel, and entertainment industry. Saratoga is led by a diverse and experienced management team with a very proven track record. I'm I have the least amount of experience, so it's great to be around people who can teach me and learn from them. But collectively, we have over 100 years of experience. Sitting behind me is Jim Featherstone Haw, who, along with my father, built our company as we see it today, from a successful harness racing company to a full-fledged entertainment company. Feathers, as we refer to him, has been in New York and in the government relations industry for close to 40 years, and he's unique in many ways, but he is liked and respected by everyone, which is hard to come by. Alex Tucker, to my right, is the epitome of efficiency, which is, he's the backbone of our company, and he's the reason why our employees are there for such a long time. Unfortunately, my sister could not be here today. She is Vera Belger with a different last name. I hate to say this, but she is brilliant, and she will be a huge part of our future, but specifically this project. So yeah, just a little bit more history, just so you have an idea of the company we are. Again, we started in 1941 as a harness racetrack in Saratoga Springs, New York, and over the last 8 decades, we've certainly evolved as the market has changed. Most notably, in 2004, we added gaming. We were the first VLT in the state of New York. Since then, our focus has shifted towards strategic growth in the casino industry and in the entertainment industry, hospitality industry. So now I'm going to move on, to make things quick, to our corporate headquarters, which, as I mentioned, is located in Saratoga Springs, New York. We were the first video lottery terminal property to open in the state, and humbly, we've been seen as the gold standard for VLTs in the state since then, and it's been a really great experience. We currently have a little over 1,300 slot machines, 89 electronic table games, our harness racetrack. We have a nightclub. We have a 117-room, 4-diamond hotel. We have a great meeting convention space. And we also have a variety of food and dining amenities with a Morton Steakhouse, which is, if you ever make it up there, you'd have to go to. So moving on, one of our other properties is located in Natchez, Mississippi. It's called Magnolia Bluffs. We have nearly 500 slot machines, 10 table games, a poker room, a variety of dining options, and a sports book. We're relatively new we acquired Magnolia 3 years ago, so we're relatively new there, and it's been a really great experience for us to bring what we've learned in dealing or being a part of a community and bringing that to our property in Mississippi. Alex, do you want to add to the Mississippi and how we've what we've given back?
Sure. So I'm Alex Tucker, COO for Saratoga Casino Holdings. I've been at Saratoga for almost 20 years and working for the Garrity family for that long. Magnolia, as Sam said, was our most recent acquisition. And one of the things that we did first off was we got involved with the community. And since we opened or purchased that property, we donated almost $1 million to different community charities and held events, and really tried to ingrain ourselves in the community. And that's what we try and do at Saratoga, become a part of the community. Now, $1 million maybe in some places doesn't get you very far, but $1 million in Natchez, Mississippi made a real statement. And it showed that we wanted to be part of that community. So that just goes to show, what values we bring when we get involved with a property. We go all in.
Yeah, thanks. So please move on to our other property. Yep. So Saratoga Blackhawk is our other property located in Blackhawk, Colorado. This is, if you're not familiar with Blackhawk, Colorado, it's a really interesting place. It's about 1 square mile. It used to be an old gold mining town, and now it has within that square mile 17, give or take, casinos. So I say it's interesting because we've learned so much from being in a highly, highly competitive market there, and we apply that to the other jurisdictions we're in, which makes it seem easy in terms of competition. Please, thanks. So again, kind of touching on our workforce, we take great pride in cultivating a strong and diverse workforce. Our team members are, I know it sounds cliche, but they truly are the foundation of our success. And it's through their dedication and hard work and that we continue to thrive as a company. I think Alex is going to speak a little bit to the makeup of our workforce, just briefly.
Yeah, so as Sam mentioned, our brick and mortar facilities are great, and I would encourage you, if you're ever in Saratoga Springs, New York, to stop by our casino. It's actually spectacular, but it's really the people that make our company go. It's our executive team. And it runs throughout our company. We have over 700 team members now, male, females, about 50-50, and we're very proud of our diversity with over 30% of our workforce identifies as a minority. So, we just want Saratoga to be a great place to work, and we put a lot of hard work into that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I hope that it's become clear that what's really most important for us is being a committed member to the communities in which we operate. I could go on for a while, but I wanted to highlight some of the things we do in the community. We've donated over $3.5 million to organizations in the Saratoga Springs area. including the local hospital fundraising gala for the last 40 years. This event has raised over $10 million for the hospital. We also created a foundation with our Horse Persons Association that benefits organizations in the community, and to date have over $500,000 has been distributed to over 200 organizations. I also would like to add that, through tax revenue, we've contributed since our inception 20 years ago over $1 billion to state education. It goes directly to state education. While that is a tax and we have to pay it, it's a tax that we're very happy to pay. And state education, there's nothing better than that, in my opinion. So, just to finish up for my part of it, thank you so much again for your time. We're really excited to be here, to be a part of the community. We understand that, we have the opportunity to be a pillar in the community and help those around us as they will help us. So thank you again, and we really appreciate your time.
So before we take questions from Office of Enforcement Counsel and board members, ex officio members, I'll close quickly with our change of control fee proposal. I've had the good fortune of practicing in this industry, in this jurisdiction, since the inception. I hope I don't look it, although I was reminded this morning that I've started to turn gray. So I don't.
You still got it.
I still got it. I'm going to hold on to that. But I wish I could sit here and tell you that in such and such period, there's a precedent of this number and for this kind of license, and there frankly isn't. This is the first Cat 4 before the board with the change of control. What I did try to do is look back through the course of the history, somewhat digging deep in the research file. We represented the first casino that was before the board for a change control. It was actually Penn National, and the transaction ended up not closing because of the 2008 financial recession. But in the lead up to that change of control, the board at that time engaged expert consultant from PricewaterhouseCoopers and held 2 hearings to take testimony and to inform what would become the change of control fee assessment. And I look back at this just to recognize that there's a lot of discretion that the statute vests with the board in all areas, including the change of control fee. But there is a point at which there is a diminishing return, and that a excessive fee can jeopardize tax revenues going forward. With this in mind, we proposed in our papers what would be a $1 million change control fee, pro rata for a 60% change control. We proposed a differentiation between the 2 elements of the transaction that we have before you, between the debt conversion, which was part of the original licensing application. Part of the initial debt financing for the project was the debt from the 3 note holders. And the plan in the licensing application was for that to be converted to equity subject to board approval thereafter. There is precedent from the board in 2011 from the Valley Forge corporate restructuring of treating that type of initial capitalization as a corporate restructuring that did not trigger a fee. There was no fee assessed in that case and for the Valley Forge corporate restructuring. That being said, we stand here acknowledging that the Saratoga Framework Agreement is distinguishable. It's an agreement that came about after the initial licensing, and we're proposing that the change control fee be assessed on that component. That's the $1 million pro rata for 60%. So it would be a check for $600,000 due prior to closing the framework agreement is the proposal. With that, the total numbers that come together for the minimum licensing fees would be about $20.6 million. And then there's the stand-up fees, the $1 million bond and the $1.25 million Section 1401 assessment. Last thing before we take questions from Office of Enforcement Counsel and the board is just a heartfelt thank you. It's been a long road, and we don't get here without the incredible dedication, diligence of the staff and the board. It is a pleasure to work with the staff and be able to have the dialogue and the exchange that we can have so that we can deliver to you and to your staff what they need to get us where we want to be. And we are incredibly appreciative of the work and the effort that's been undertaken on this particular project. So with that, thank you very much, and we're ready for take questions.
Office of Enforcement Counsel, do you have any questions?
Thank you. Ashley Gabriel, Gabrielle, Senior Enforcement Counsel for the Office of Enforcement Counsel. I'd like to refer to slide 15, please.
Getting there.
And where it states that there will be approximately 350 full-time employees once stabilized. What does once stabilized mean?
It's what I've experienced in openings previously is our hiring's a little rough initially because we're filling in so many dealers and they're going through the school and not everyone makes it through, and so there's a lot of fluctuation. So once stabilized sort of means like sort of by the end of the first year, once we know we have everyone on and we've plugged all the holes in the schedule.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how many full-time employee positions then are there anticipated to be at opening?
At opening full-time, it is in the neighborhood of 300. The vast majority of the positions we are looking to bring on are full-time positions.
And will there be any part-time positions available at opening?
Yes. Yep.
How many do you anticipate?
I anticipate somewhere in that 50 to 60 range for part-time positions. Yeah.
Also on slide 15, it states that there will be competitive wages. Are these wages considered competitive within the gaming industry or within the state college area?
Both. Yeah, we're having to solve both of those problems. So, we spent a lot of time and research in making sure that our wages are competitive for the industry positions that we need to sort of recruit in. Unfortunately, we can't fully staff with all new people to the industry. So we are, although mostly it's coming from within the Commonwealth, a few sort of senior executives and managers coming in. But for the most part, we're looking to recruit locally. And so, we need to make sure that as a hospitality employer, we're balanced out with the other hospitality industry positions in the area. And our goal is to be an employer of choice in the region.
Okay. Also, slide 15, and you mentioned free table games dealer training. Is Happy Valley Casino providing this training, or will it take place at a local third-party institution?
We're building out our own dealer school, and we'll be running that. We secured a space actually inside the Nittany Mall, directly adjacent to the opening for where the casino is going to be. And we're building out that space right now. That'll house our dealer school, hiring center, and temporary offices. But we'll operate that school ourselves.
Okay. I'd like to refer to slide 18. Where it states in that yellow portion where it says future, that Saratoga Casino Holdings is engaged in an active investment opportunity in Coney Island, New York, around the same time as entering into this agreement to acquire 60% of SC Gaming Holdco LLC. How will the Coney Island investment opportunity affect this transaction?
Yeah, not at all. So we're financially capable to. We're planning on doing both. We hope to win Coney Island as well. So there'll be no effect on Pennsylvania.
And with regard to the Coney Island investment, in what jurisdiction or jurisdictions do you need to seek approval regarding that investment opportunity?
Just New York State.
Just New York, okay. And
Yeah, correct. Just approval, yeah.
There's a RFA process initiated by New York, and I think the submissions are just going in like this week.
It's scheduled to be awarded in either December or January of this coming year. December of this year, January of next year.
so prior to the closing date for this transaction, you would expect to receive approval from New York State regarding the Coney Island investment opportunity?
I think we would hope to achieve.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
quite a competitive process.
I've heard.
I don't want to be too, yeah.
I'm generally referring to slides 19 through 21 and the description of your properties there. Does Saratoga Casino have any experience operating interactive gaming, fantasy contests, or online sports wagering?
So for online sports wagering, we have experience in Colorado where Blackhawk is. The interactive, what was the other?
No, and the other two,
two,
we do
no.
not.
Do you intend to offer interactive gaming or fantasy contests at any of your other properties or with this property?
For State College, it's not part of our opening plans. Really, all of our efforts are focused on getting the brick and mortar casino built and open as fast as possible. We talk about our options with iGaming and with sports betting, but sort of strategically, I think we've made that a secondary priority to getting the brick and mortar open. So I think we're open to participating in that if the right kind of relationship comes along and makes sense for State College and for Saratoga.
Right. Yeah, and just to piggyback on that, currently we don't, but a lot of this is the legislation, as you know, is up in the air. So right now, no, but it's possible in the future.
Okay, and also for Happy Valley Casino, what about retail sports wagering?
Yeah, retail sports wagering is no longer in our opening plans.
Okay.
That was another result of a lot of hard analysis on the other retail locations in the Commonwealth. And we're relatively space constrained, so it's not a massive amount of space, and so we really have to be picky and choosy on what we do deploy. And the retail sports betting doesn't seem to be drawing enough activity to justify it for our place.
Okay. And is there a drop dead date for closing of the transaction?
For the framework agreement?
Yes.
I don't believe so.
No?
No? And it's correct that closing is contingent on full licensure for the Saratoga group of entities and principals, correct?
Absolutely.
Correct, yes.
And what happens if full licensure is not received? Is there a way out of the framework agreement for any of the parties?
Yeah, if Saratoga's not able to be licensed, we continue on with what I call Plan A. So what we've been doing this whole time. There's nothing, the Saratoga element of the transaction doesn't impact our development timeline at all, construction, us being able to fund the project if something, I don't even know what that could be, but something it's totally weird happened and Saratoga couldn't join the project. It doesn't affect our timelines at all.
Okay. Have all anticipated applications regarding the Saratoga group of entities and principals been submitted to the board?
That is my understanding.
My understanding is that they've all been submitted. They've gotten to BIE. I know the Saratoga team and their counsel have been working diligently with the BIE team. And if you'd like any more color, Sarah Stoner, who represents them, is also available, if you like.
Your statements are accurate.
Okay. And do you anticipate any additional applications being filed at this time?
Not at this time.
Nope.
Okay. And after the closing date for the framework agreement, how long do you anticipate it will take Saratoga to transition into its roles involving the property?
So once the transaction closes, the framework agreement closes, they'd acquire the 60% interest in the holding company and effectively control of the board. Would become a 5-member board, 3 of whom would be selected amongst the Saratoga individuals. But Eric would remain the GM. That's contemplated in the framework agreement. Contractually, I also think that there is by my observation, a true simpatico. I've teased Alex and Eric that they remind me of the movie Twins, but I haven't told them which one's Arnold Schwarzenegger and which one's Danny DeVito. So I don't think that there'd be much in the way of a transition, because the property leadership would be the property leadership.
We've partnered together to work together. This wasn't like a staged way to get us out, or it's been 5 years of me getting this project along. I love Sam and Alex, so I'm not just gonna toss the keys before I see it open. So we're doing this together.
And when do you expect SC Gaming OpCo LLC to request the issuance of its Category 4 slot machine license?
With the opening slated for April of 2026, we've been tentatively talking with staff about requesting issuance in first quarter of 2026.
When do you expect to file petitions for the shared services that are anticipated to be provided to SC Gaming OpCo LLC by Saratoga and SC Gaming LLC?
So we have, in terms of, call it the housekeeping after this petition, we have 3 petitions in mind. A petition for approval of the shared services agreements that you're referencing, a petition for the slot machines, and a petition for the table game certificate. There are drafts of the petition for shared services and the petition for the slot machines. We wanted to focus on this immediate approval. Those can be filed in the near term. The table games would follow, but in terms of those approvals of those items, it's really like fourth quarter or early first quarter when we would need those approvals. So that's why we really wanted to prioritize this one, work with the staff, and not overindulge in the grace of the staff by dumping all 4 petitions at the same time.
What shared services will Saratoga provide to SC Gaming OpCo LLC?
The framework agreement contemplates that Saratoga provides really, gaming-related shared services, and that the local group led by Ira would provide non-gaming shared services. Both of those agreements contemplate like a broad range of whatever either stakeholder can provide. A big part of the value-add proposition from Saratoga is the non-gaming amenities, the coupling of hotel, dining, entertainment with the gaming, and that's a big piece of the puzzle that they supply and that they'll be able to contribute. And so that's a big part of what those agreements contemplate.
And when you said the local group, are you referring to SC Gaming LLC?
Yes, I am.
With the provision of
SC
those?
Gaming LLC or SC Topco.
Okay. Did you have any questions? OEC has no further questions, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the board? Commissioner Regan?
Excuse me. Just two comments. I really applaud you for the no smoking policy. That's excellent. I also wanted to note that I very much like the logo and the name. It's very attractive.
Thank you.
And finally, one question I'd have to know, is that a large dinosaur on your lawn in Saratoga Springs?
Oh, no, it's a horse.
Well, no, there's a horse on one side, but you got slide 19.
Let me take a look.
It's slide 19. That's not a dinosaur.
No, 2 horses, and the one horse is kind of, down like that. No, we'll bring a clearer photo next time. That's our fault.
Doesn't it look like a dinosaur, though?
I see what you're saying, absolutely. I will note that for next time.
And I'll say, even though we're going to be non-smoking, we are pro-baked goods. So,
Good.
great.
Excellent. Any other questions or comments?
Just one. Given that you're attached to the mall, what plan do you have in place to keep underage minors off of the gaming floor?
Yeah, so we are, and this is one of the reasons why Eric Wise was essentially our first hire right along with Jen is, the safety and security, especially to the non-gaming public. We're very aware that Penn State is also in State College, and I can tell you from operating in the Commonwealth for a long time and having to sit here and come before this board because someone under the age of 21 snuck into a casino that I manage is not an experience that I ever want to have again. And the technology that we're bringing in, it's the most state-of-art ID scanners that we can have, our security procedures. The way we're going to coach up our staff is we are expecting folks to try to come in that shouldn't be there. And so our baseline assumption is, we need to ensure that this person's of age and belongs in the casino, and we need to operate thusly. I've been on the other side of it enough to know that what the consequences are, and we don't want to get into that.
Any other questions? Commissioner Marzano-Diaz?
Yes, just to follow up on that question, it's one thing in terms of your procedures to make sure that underage folks don't come in terms of gambling. But the other question is, how do you keep unattended children from being on your premises? I'd like to know, do you have infrared cameras that you're going to put in? What kinds of technology are you going to use, especially to make sure that kids are not left unattended, not only in the cars, but on the premises itself, because you have a hotel, you have food courts nearby. And
No, it's an excellent question. It's something we think a lot about, especially with our locating adjacent to the mall. We have our parcel and our parking lot as sort of a legal description, but if you're a guest, that's an imaginary line that it doesn't mean anything for them. The way the mall parking lot is set up and where the casino is located, there are natural breakpoints where, if you were a casino customer, there's a whole section of the mall where you would not park. But there is another section that we don't directly own and control that will be part of our patrol routes and things like that, because it is a natural adjacent space. And just because it's on the other side of an imaginary line doesn't mean that it's not our responsibility to make sure that that area is safe and patrolled. And if it turns out that guests, sort of proclivity to park in the area starts stretching out more into the mall, we'll cover that area as well. Again, much like the underage gamblers coming into the casino, those are two reasons that I never want to be in front of this board is unattended minors left in vehicles or an underage person getting access to the casino.
so you have a strategic plan with regard to the signage and where you're going to place the signage strategically?
Yeah, we'll have signage and things like that. In my experience, humans aren't great at reading signs, but we will have them. For us, it'll be the proactive patrols. So actively being out there, making sure that we have a presence in the parking lot. The security staff is trained on what to look for, and make sure that we are catching as much as we humanly can. Augmenting that with technology, looking at the heat sensing camera thing, that's something we'll look at when we get back. Conversation, that's probably already in his plan, he just hasn't told me. Absolutely. Like I said, the last thing I want to do is to be in front of you again saying I failed on that point.
Commissioner Dermody?
Thank you, Madam Chair. There are no plans for a sports book in State College?
It's what happened is through a real deep analysis on how people are interacting with sports betting, just the retail portion of it, what we thought we could make doesn't support how that business comes in. So when it comes to sports betting, online really seems to be the ticket, and there's plenty of sports betting happening in State College.
I would think.
But I think people are using the convenience of their mobile devices to do that. And I don't know if the biggest thing we'd be able to do is really a counter and a window. And so we didn't feel that experience was enough to overcome the online experience differentiator.
What we can offer is, entry into the Pennsylvania market for online sports betting is extremely limited, as you know, and with a Category 4 license, we could partner with somebody that wanted to enter the market, and then retail sports betting could come along with that if somebody wanted a sort of ticket to the dance, so to speak. But it's really a future plan, a future discussion.
And it's something it's definitely on our radar and we're looking at, but it's sort of phase two. Phase one, we want to get the brick and mortar, our land-based operation up and going, because the iGaming and the internet sports betting, as Alex and Sam can attest to, can often be a powerful distraction when you have some higher priority things going on. And so we want to get this, after 5 years, we really just want to get the casino open, and then we can figure out how to augment after.
All right. Thank you.
Commissioner Dunbar?
Just to follow up, and correct me if I'm wrong, I did see plans for a sports bar.
Yes.
So there's a sports bar, but no one's going to be able to wager in that sports bar, not even on their phone. They would have to leave the premises to do that. Is that correct?
Not with us. We wouldn't be offering the mobile sports betting on the phone.
Right, but even on the premises, they couldn't do a sports wager within your premises on anybody else's platforms. Is that correct?
Because of geofencing with?
Yes.
Yeah. No, I think in terms of other operators, yeah.
I think that is kind of interesting to have a sports bar and nobody be able to wager, but we'll have to see how that works out in the future, I guess.
Yeah, a lot of...
They'll be running out to the parking lot.
Yeah, I will say if we observe business leaving the building because we're not offering, whether that's poker or some other type of amenity, that's something that we can pivot on relatively quickly. A lot of this exercise, and especially when it comes to new openings and going into new markets, is getting open and then figuring out what we did wrong, basically, and making adjustments there. Your point is very well made. It is possible that this, I could be before you in another year or so asking to bolt on some additional licenses because we got it wrong initially.
Thank you.
Commissioner Dillon, do you have any questions?
I have no questions.
And I think our chief counsel's office has a different opinion on the sports wagering.
I do believe there's no geofencing for sports wagering.
It's just iGaming, right?
Right.
Yeah. So you can bet on your phone.
Yeah. And just one follow-up question. You said you've been going to job fairs. Have you already started kind of like a directory or collecting contacts for people?
That's the main thing that we've been doing at the job fairs is explaining the different roles and positions that we're going to be hiring for, timelines, and then we're collecting names and email addresses and phone numbers for all the interested parties and the types of roles that they've been interested in. A lot of our focus on attending the job fairs has really been kind of priming the pump on getting people interested to attend the dealer school. That's definitely the thing that I've highlighted as one of our biggest lifts that we need to achieve. I mean, it's going to be sort of a feat. We're going to have, a roundish about 100 dealers and table game staff, and many of them, it will be their first time doing it. I feel okay about that because I actually, in a lot of ways, like us training all of our staff the way that we want them to operate and not having to sort of unlearn some other behaviors. But it's going to be a lift, and that's a big focus as we're doing the community outreach stuff, is trying to get the local public excited about those casino roles, especially the dealer school. And we've received some trepidation from some people, which was kind of surprising to me. But there were a lot of folks that when we said, oh, are you interested in being a dealer? They're like, oh, that sounds hard. Or like, I don't know about that. Maybe another job, I know how to do that. And so a lot of it's been like, no, we'll teach you how to do it. We'll have a school. We'll go through the training. But it's definitely our work's cut out for us to, field a good staff there.
And on the heels of that, first of all, I think Saratoga, I applaud you for the diversity of your workforce. 50-50 women, 33% minority, and I would hope SC Gaming would aspire to duplicate that. And in order to do that, I believe you need to go outside of the surrounding area of State College. So you probably should look at universities all across the Commonwealth.
Yeah.
People might be willing to relocate or attending job fairs outside of the just that surrounding area, because you're never going to probably get 33% minorities in the State College area. You might get the 50-50 women, I don't know. But I do know, in speaking to certain people from different universities and some of the HBCUs, people don't know about the gaming industry. So it is really an education process that you have to engage in, and so you should just think outside the box when you look at hiring. Okay?
Absolutely. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, all the executive staff that we brought on so far, that was an important element to us. And, I've seen this before in other properties. The diversity that we set in our executive team up front tends to spill on and cascade down through the organization. So that was very important for us to set up. I know that we do have our headwinds against us in Center County. It's not the most diverse section of the state, but we're excited to do what we can.
Okay. OEC, do you have anything to present?
We do not have a formal presentation, but I would like to make a statement in support of our position, if I may.
Certainly. Sure.
Thank you. The Office of Enforcement Counsel has reviewed the joint petition filed by SC Gaming OpCo LLC and SC Gaming LLC and filed an answer in new matter in response on May 12, 2025. The Bureau of Investigations and Enforcement's Financial Investigations Unit conducted an investigation into the proposed transaction and drafted a report that analyzes the details of the transaction, including SC Gaming OpCo LLC and Saratoga Casino Lion LLC's pre-transaction structures, Saratoga Harness Racing Incorporated's financial information, debt and credit ratings, the agreements governing the transaction, proposed transaction funding, SC Gaming OpCo LLC's post-acquisition structure, Saratoga Casino Lion LLC's organizing documents, and the joint petition. SC Gaming OpCo LLC has been approved for the issuance of a Category 4 slot machine license by the board and intends to operate the Happy Valley Casino in State College, Pennsylvania. Saratoga Casino Holdings LLC is 99% owned by Saratoga Harness Racing Incorporated, a racing and gaming holding company that, through its subsidiaries, owns and operates Saratoga Casino Hotel, a casino and harness racetrack in Saratoga Springs, New York, Saratoga Casino Blackhawk, a casino in Black Hawk, Colorado, and Magnolia Bluffs Casino and Hotel, a casino and hotel in Natchez, Mississippi. Saratoga Casino Lion LLC is Saratoga Casino Holdings LLC's subsidiary intended to hold the 60% ownership interest in SC Gaming Holdco LLC, the parent company of SC Gaming OpCo LLC, the Category 4 slot machine licensee. OEC and BIE's initial assessment of this transaction, based on the concept outlined by joint petitioners in their joint petition, supporting documentation and presentation today, indicates that there are no significant issues, and OEC does not object to the board approving the petition and granting the following relief requested by joint petitioners. The changes in the ownership of SC Gaming LLC resulting from the contingent conversion of debt to equity in SC Gaming LLC, the payment of the earnest money deposit in conjunction with the framework agreement, and Sarah Casino Holdings LLC's acquisition of 60% ownership in SC Gaming Holdco LLC post-licensure. This approval is subject to the proposed conditions outlined in OEC's answer in new matter, so that we may continue to monitor the transaction and ensure full compliance with the requirements of the Pennsylvania Racehorse Development and Gaming Act and the board's regulations promulgated thereunder, and any other conditions imposed by the board. Regarding joint petitioner's request regarding the fee associated with the change of control, the Pennsylvania Racehorse Development and Gaming Act provides that this determination is left to the board's discretion. OEC is available to answer any questions.
SC Gaming, do you have any questions for OEC?
We do not. Thank you.
Okay, any questions or comments from the board? Somebody did not abide by my request. Silence your devices. SC Gaming, is there anything you would like to add? Would you like to move your PowerPoint into the record?
We would like to move the PowerPoint into the record if you wouldn't mind. And with that, we just would ask for approval of the petition and the relief requested.
OEC, any objection to the PowerPoint?
No.
Okay, do you have anything to add at this point, OEC?
No.
Okay, thank you. That concludes this proceeding. This matter will be put before the board for a vote this morning during the Office of Chief Counsel's portion of the agenda.
Thank you.
I would now like to ask for the
Thank you so
approval
much.
of, Excuse.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. Thank you, OEC. I would like to now ask for the approval of the board meeting transcript and minutes from the April 23rd, 2025 meeting. May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dillon moves that the board approve the minutes and transcript of the April 23rd, 2025 meeting.
Commissioner Dunbar seconds.
All in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Now we will hear from Executive Director Kevin O'Toole. Kevin.
Good morning, Chair Smiler. Good morning, members of the board. The board's Office of Communications issued its press release late last week to report the combined total gaming revenue generated during May of 2025 from all forms of gaming under the regulatory oversight of the Pennsylvania Gaming Control Board. May of 2025 was somewhat of a surprise in terms of generating revenue. It was a very significant month. Historically, March usually takes the lead. I think 7 out of the last 10 years, March led the year in revenue generation. But for May of 2025, revenue generated over $601 million in aggregated revenue, an increase of 15.5% over May of 2024's aggregated revenue. And it's the highest monthly total of gaming revenue to date. Additionally, the total tax from gaming revenue during May of 2025 exceeded $255 million. Significant increases year over year occurred once again in the online gaming categories, with iGaming slots increasing revenue almost 40%, iGaming sports wagering increasing revenue almost 35%, and iGaming poker increasing revenue almost 21%. If you follow gaming revenue trends as I do, most likely you will look closely at the land-based casino revenue to measure the effect of online gaming activity on the traditional slot machine and table game revenue. There is an effect month in and month out, no doubt. The legislature in 2017 expanded gambling to generate additional revenue and create additional jobs, and that has been a success. It has clearly generated additional revenue. However, through the efforts of Pennsylvania's land-based casino operations, retail slots and retail table games, when combined together, their revenue increased in May year over year by 2.33%. Also, it's important to note that retail slot machine revenue in May of 2025 of $225 million led all categories of gaming, including the online gaming categories. As the board continues to attend public input hearings, we've had quite a few in the last year or so. Those hearings are always scheduled near the land-based casino facilities, and that is part of the license renewal process. We listen to presentations by casino executives and public entity representatives. These presentations focus on a number of things, but usually on the outstanding physical facilities at their casino locations. They focus on the loyal player base at each casino location, and they focus on consistent commitment made by the casino licensee to the community where that casino is located and where that casino is a part of. Those are just a few explanations for why I think the land-based casinos continue to perform well in maintaining their revenue base and continuing to improve their locations year in and year out. So that's my executive director's report today, but before I give up the mic, on behalf of myself and on behalf of the staff of the Gaming Control Board, I would like to thank Commissioner Regan for her contribution, which has certainly been very significant over her period of tenure on the Gaming Control Board. We're going to miss you, and we also wish you the very best in the future, Fran.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Kevin.
You're
We'll
welcome.
now hear from our Human Resources Director, Heidi Zula, who I believe has 2 motions for consideration. Heidi.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the board. The Office of Human Resources only has 1 motion for your consideration today relative to the ratification of the hiring of 1 individual that was offered and accepted employment with the board between public meetings. Jody Johnson was selected as an executive secretary within the executive office and was approved for hire between public meetings by the executive director and personnel committee after having completed the background investigation and drug screening. As a result, Jody was offered and accepted employment with the board between public meetings to provide support to the executive office in preparation for today's meeting. Unless you have any questions, I ask that the board consider a motion to ratify the hiring of Jody Johnson.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dermody moves that the board ratify the hiring of board staff as described by the Office of the Human Resources Director.
Commissioner Dillon seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion's adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you, Heidi. Next is our Office of Chief Counsel.
Morning.
Good morning.
Our first agenda item relates to temporary rulemaking, which Senior Counsel Robert Wood will present.
Thank you. Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. This morning, I have 1 item for the board's consideration, that being temporary rulemaking numbered 125-254, which relates to table games rules and procedures. This package contains new table game variations and additional side wager options. It provides 1 new variation of the game of roulette, 1 variation on the game of sickpo, 2 variations on blackjack and its side wagers, a side wager variation for the game of Spanish 21, and 2 new game show-styled games. Prior to this morning's meetings, copies of this rulemaking and its materials were provided to the board. And if there are if you have any questions, I'd be happy to field them this morning. If not, I'd ask the board to adopt a motion approving this rulemaking.
Any questions or comments from the board? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Manzano-Diaz moves that the board adopt temporary regulation number 125-254 regarding table games rules and procedures as described by the Office of Chief Counsel.
Commissioner Wilson seconds.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion's adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you, Robert.
Next before the board are 8 petitions. One of these petitions was heard by the board earlier today during a public hearing involving the SC gaming matter. The remaining 7 petitions will be decided on the documentary record, as the Office of Enforcement Counsel has no objection to the requested relief. In each of these matters, the board has been provided with the complete evidentiary record and all documents, in the form of all documents filed of record prior to today. The first petition before the board today is SC Gaming OpCo LLC's and SC Gaming LLC's joint request for approval to change its ownership and corporate structure. As mentioned, the board heard from the parties earlier today during a public hearing, and the matter is now ripe for a board decision.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Commissioner Ralston moves that the board grant in part the joint petition for the approval of changes in corporate structure as described by the Office of Chief Counsel, subject to the conditions that will be outlined in the board's order, including the payment of $100,000, $1 million new license. That would be low.
And I was giving them a gift.
I know, a big gift.
It's $1 million.
New license fee based upon the change in control. I further move that the petitioner's request for confidentiality be granted and that the Office of Enforcement Counsel's request for confidentiality be granted in part, which will also be outlined in the board's order.
Commissioner Regan seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion's adopted.
Next before the board is CAMA Limited's petition requesting approval of a change of control. CAMA Limited holds a table games manufacturer license with the board. In August of 2023, CAMA's license, along with the license of its owners, were all renewed. At that time, Richard William CAMA owned 50 shares of CAMA, Andrew Paul CAMA, and Barbara CAMA each owned 25 shares. In August of 2024, Barbara CAMA relinquished her 25 shares pursuant to a buyback agreement with CAMA Limited. The other two owners' number of shares remain the same. However, their ownership percentages have now increased, with Richard CAMA now owning 66.6% of the ownership interest and Andrew CAMA owning 33.3%. The Office of Enforcement Counsel has no objection to the change of control, subject to conditions in its answer, and this matter is now ripe for the board's consideration.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Regan moves that the board grant the petition for approval of change in control as described by the Office of Chief Counsel, subject to the conditions that will be outlined in the board's order.
Commissioner Dermody, second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion's adopted.
Next before the board is Digital Gaming Corporation USA's petition for approval of a corporate restructuring. Digital Gaming Corporation USA is licensed by the board as an interactive gaming operator and a sports wagering operator and provides iGaming and interactive sports wagering services to Live Casino Philadelphia. Digital Gaming Corporation USA is directly owned by Digital Gaming Corporation Limited, which is in turn owned by SGHC Limited, a subsidiary of Supergroup SGHC Limited. Clearly, attorneys name those companies. Following approval by the board, the restructuring will involve the placement of two holding companies, DGC UK Holdings and DGC US Holdings, within the ownership change of Digital Gaming Corporation USA. The restructuring will also result in the dissolution of Digital Gaming Corporation Limited. The petitioners state that the proposed corporate restructuring will enhance operational and financial efficiency and improve the performance at a corporate level. The Office of Enforcement Counsel has no objection to the proposed corporate restructuring, subject to conditions outlined in its answer, and this matter is now ripe for the board's consideration.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dermody moves that the board grant the petition for approval of change in control as described by the Office of Chief Counsel, subject to the conditions that will be outlined in the board's order. I further move that both the petitioners and the Office of Enforcement Counsel's request for confidentiality be granted.
Commissioner Dillon seconds.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
Next before the board is a joint petition from IGT, IGT Global Solutions Corporation, Every Games, Inc., Every Payments, Inc., and Voyager Parent, LLC, seeking approval of the acquisition of Pennsylvania licensed manufacturers by a company owned by a private asset management firm. The PA licensees being acquired are subsidiaries of either International Gaming Technology, PLC, or Every Holdings, Inc. International Gaming Technology, PLC is the ultimate owner of IGT, a Pennsylvania licensed slot machine, table games, and video gaming terminal, as well as sports wagering manufacturer. It also owns IGT Global Solutions Corporation, a Pennsylvania licensed slot machine and interactive gaming manufacturer. Every Holdings, Inc. is the ultimate owner of PA licensee Every Games, Inc., a slot machine manufacturer, and Every Payments, Inc., a slot machine and video gaming terminal manufacturer. Voyager Parent, LLC is ultimately owned by Apollo Investments, which controls numerous investment funds. Through transfer of assets, selling of interests, and various mergers, Voyager will be acquiring the Pennsylvania licensees presently owned by both Every and IGT. The Pennsylvania licensees currently in place for IGT and Every related entities will remain in effect, and any new individuals in the ownership change will need to be licensed. The Office of Enforcement Counsel has no objection to the proposed change of control, subject to conditions outlined in its answer, including the need for additional licenses. However, in addition to that, both petitioners and the Office of Enforcement Counsel have requested that certain information be maintained as confidential, and this matter is now ripe for the board's consideration.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dillon moves that the board grant the joint petition for approval, the proposed change in control as described by the Office of Chief Counsel, subject to the conditions that will be outlined in the board's order. I further move that the petitioner's request for confidentiality be granted and the Office of Enforcement Counsel's request for confidentiality be denied.
Commissioner Dunbar seconds.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion's adopted.
Next is Auto Valet System USA LLC's petition for removal from the prohibited gaming service provider list. Auto Valet Systems USA is a company that provides employee uniforms and an automated system for storing uniforms. By way of background, Auto Valet was placed on the board's prohibited gaming service provider list in 2012 for their failure to provide the Bureau of Licensing with the signed statement of conditions and a signed indemnification agreement. In March of 2016, Auto Valet filed a request for removal from the list, which was granted by the board in May of 2016, subject to conditions that they pay a civil penalty and outstanding licensing fees. However, Auto Valet failed to satisfy those conditions and therefore has remained on the prohibited gaming service provider list. Auto Valet has now again requested that they be removed from the list. The Office of Enforcement Counsel does not object to the removal of Auto Valet from the list, provided they pay all outstanding monies owed to the board, as well as a $1,500 civil penalty, and cooperate with the board relative to any new applications which need to be submitted, and this matter is now ripe for the board's consideration.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Regan moves that the board grant the petition for removal from the prohibited gaming service provider list as described by the Office of Chief Counsel, subject to the conditions that will be outlined in the board's order.
Commissioner Dermody, second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
The next matter is a request for removal from the self-exclusion list filed by an individual with the initials CSZ. On June 28, 2012, CSZ placed himself on the list choosing the lifetime self-exclusion option. On March 26, 2025, CSZ filed his request for removal from the list, stating that he's recently retired and would like to go to casinos for entertainment, as well as to spend time with his peers. As required by the board's regulations, CSZ provided the required problem gambling assessment verification form signed by a certified assessment provider confirming that an assessment of this individual was performed and that problem gambling treatment was not recommended. The Office of Enforcement Counsel filed an answer stating it has no objection to CSZ's request, as it has been almost 13 years since his placement on the list, and he has submitted all the required documentation. OEC did acknowledge in its answer that CSZ had one violation of his self-exclusion, however, it was 12 years ago. As such, OEC has no objection to this request, and the matter is now ripe for the board's consideration.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dunbar moves that the board grant CSZ's petition for removal from the casino self-exclusion list as described by the Office of Chief Counsel.
Commissioner Manzano Diaz, second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion's adopted.
Next before the board is a second request for removal from the self-exclusion list. On November 1st, 2013, an individual with the initials MW placed himself on the list, choosing the lifetime self-exclusion option. On April 25th, 2025, MW filed his request for removal from the list, indicating that he's matured and he would like to be able to attend casinos with friends for entertainment. Per the board's regulations, MW has provided the required problem gambling assessment verification form signed by a certified assessment provider confirming that an assessment of MW was performed and that problem gambling treatment was not recommended. The Office of Enforcement Counsel filed an answer stating that there is no objection to MW's request as it has been over 11 and a half years since his placement on the list, and he submitted all required documentation. OEC does acknowledge in its answer that MW had 3 violations of self-exclusion. However, the most recent one was over 5 years ago, and the other 2 were over 11 years ago. And this matter is now ripe for the board's consideration.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Manzano Diaz moves that the board grant MW's petition for removal from the casino self-exclusion list as described by the Office of Chief Counsel.
Commissioner Ralston seconds.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
The final petition before the board today is yet another request for an individual to be removed from the self-exclusion list. On August 16, 2014, an individual with the initials WO placed himself on the voluntary self-exclusion list, choosing the lifetime exclusion option. On March 26, 2025, WO filed his request seeking removal from the list, stating that he is now older and more responsible. WO has complied with the board's regulations and provided the required assessment verification form signed by a certified assessment provider confirming that an assessment was performed, that problem gambling treatment was not recommended. The Office of Enforcement Counsel filed an answer stating it has no objection to WO's request, as it has been over 10 years since he placed himself on the list, and he's submitted all the required documentation. OEC noted that he had 3 violations of his self-exclusion. However, the last one took place over 5 years ago, and this matter is now ripe for the board's consideration.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Commissioner Ralston moves that the board grant WO's petition for removal from the casino self-exclusion list as described by the Office of Chief Counsel.
Commissioner Regan seconds.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion's adopted.
Next, providing withdrawals, surrenders, and reports and recommendations will be Deputy Chief Counsel Chad Zimmerman.
Good morning, Commissioners. The next matter before the board today pertains to several unopposed petitions to withdraw applications or surrender credentials of the following individuals and entities: Lindsay Slater, Spring Mountain Investments Limited, Portfolio Services Limited, Mark Waterhouse, Christopher Hall, Ryan Van Wamelen, Usha Ganesan, Oak Ridge Interactive LLC, Michael Betty, Christopher Betty, Nicholas Betty, Brittany Betty, Kyle Berger, Eileen Cleary, Michael DeMata, Zachary DeMata, SDC Elmish, Raul DeCartier, Anthony Rodeo Sr., Leon Mills, Kevin Timjohn, Paul Lidsky, Edwin Kilburn, Stephen Marana, Hien Papian, and Therese Dierchicks. The Office of Enforcement Counsel has no objections to any of these withdrawals or surrenders. As a result, if the board chooses to grant these requests, it would be doing so without prejudice to the requester, and these matters are all now ripe for the board's consideration.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Commissioner Regan moves that the board issue orders to approve the withdrawals and surrenders as described by the Office of Chief Counsel.
Commissioner Dermody seconds.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion's adopted.
Next before the board for consideration are 4 reports and recommendations received from the Office of Hearings and Appeals. These reports and recommendations, along with the evidentiary record for each hearing, have been provided to the board in advance of this meeting. Additionally, the persons involved have each been notified that the board is considering their matter today and that each would have the ability to come forward and briefly address the board. If any of the persons who are the subject of one of these reports and recommendations would like to address the board, I would ask them to come forward when their matter is called. The first report and recommendation before the board today is Hezekiah Odom. Mr. Odom holds a non-gaming employee registration and has worked as a beverage porter for Rivers Casino Pittsburgh. On February 27, 2025, the Office of Enforcement Counsel filed a complaint for emergency suspension of Mr. Odom's registration after receiving notice that he had been charged with felony and misdemeanor offenses. As a result of these charges, the executive director issued an emergency order suspending Mr. Odom's registration. A hearing in this matter was held on March 20th, 2025. OEC appeared offering testimony and documentary evidence. Mr. Odom appeared and testified on his own behalf. Evidence and testimony presented at the hearing showed that in February 2025, Mr. Odom was arrested and charged with strangulation, endangering the welfare of children, and simple assault for allegedly punching his 7-year-old son and grabbing him around the neck. Mr. Odom denied the criminal allegations during his testimony at the hearing. He did state that his attorney, however, reached an agreement with the prosecutor regarding the resolution of his charges, and they could be reduced if he completed certain steps. Following a hearing, a report and recommendation was issued recommending that the suspension of Mr. Odom's registration remain in effect, given that the charges were still pending. However, after the hearing, it was learned by the Office of Chief Counsel that the felony and misdemeanor charges against Mr. Odom were withdrawn at the preliminary hearing, and as such, he is no longer charged with offenses that were the basis of his emergency suspension, and this matter is now ripe for the board's consideration.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, given that the charges against Mr. Odom were dismissed, Commissioner Dermody moves that the board reject the report and recommendation issued by the Office of Hearings and Appeals as described by the Office of Chief Counsel, and that the suspension of Hezekiah Odom's non-gaming employee registration be lifted.
Commissioner Dillon seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion's adopted.
The next report and recommendation before the board pertains to another emergency suspension. Danielle Smith holds a Gaming Level 2 employee occupation permit and has been employed as a hotel night auditor for Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia. On April 3rd, 2025, the Office of Enforcement Counsel filed a complaint for an emergency suspension of Ms. Smith's G2 permit after receiving notice that she had been charged with felony offenses. Specifically, it was alleged that Ms. Smith had filed a fraudulent insurance claim. As a result of these charges, the board's executive director issued an emergency order suspending Ms. Smith's G2 permit. A hearing in this matter was held in April of 2025. OEC appeared and presented testimony and documentary evidence. Ms. Smith appeared but chose not to testify. The evidence and testimony presented by OEC showed that Ms. Smith had filed an insurance claim stating that someone had broken into her vehicle and stole a $2,600 Louis Vuitton bag. Ms. Smith filed a police report for the break-in but never reported the missing bag to police. The receipt she provided to the bag for the insurance company was found to match a receipt template available on the internet, and there was no record of the purchase at the Louis Vuitton store where Ms. Smith claimed to have purchased the purse. Testimony further showed that Ms. Smith has entered the Accelerated Rehabilitative Disposition Program, was placed on probation for 12 months, and must complete 32 hours of community service. However, being in the ARD program means that the charges are still pending against her. Subsequently, a report and recommendation issued recommending that the suspension of Ms. Smith's G2 permit remain in effect, and this matter is now ripe for the board's consideration.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dillon moves that the board adopt the report and recommendation issued by the Office of Hearings and Appeals as described by the Office of Chief Counsel, and that the suspension of Danielle Smith's Gaming Level 2 employee occupation permit remain in effect.
Commissioner Dunbar seconds.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion is adopted.
Seyfola Yagmer-Kaya's matter is next before the board. On June 20th, 2024, the Office of Enforcement Counsel filed a petition to place Mr. Yagmer-Kaya on the board's involuntary exclusion list. A hearing in this matter was held March 11th, 2025. OEC appeared presenting testimony and documentary evidence. Mr. Yagmer-Kaya attended the hearing and testified on his own behalf. Evidence and testimony presented at the hearing showed that on September 7th, 2022, Mr. Yagmer-Kaya parked his vehicle in the lot at Rivers Casino in Philadelphia, leaving his 3-year-old daughter in the vehicle while he entered and gamed at a sports betting kiosk for approximately 2 minutes before returning to the car. Security noticed the child and called the Pennsylvania State Police. Upon returning to the vehicle, the child had been left alone for approximately 4 minutes. Mr. Yagmer-Kaya was issued a permanent eviction from the casino. However, no criminal charges were filed. Mr. Yagmer-Kaya testified stating he left his child for a very brief period of time and didn't know that he couldn't leave his daughter in the vehicle and apologized for his actions. Thereafter, a report and recommendation was issued recommending that Mr. Yagmer-Kaya be placed on the board's involuntary exclusion list, and this matter is now ripe for the board's consideration.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dunbar moves that the board adopt the report and recommendation issued by the Office of Hearings and Appeals as described by the Office of Chief Counsel, and that Seyfola Yagmer-Kaya be placed on the board's involuntary exclusion list.
Commissioner Manzano Diaz, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
The final report and recommendation pertains to Robert Burns. By way of background, in February 2016, the Office of Enforcement Counsel filed a petition to place Robert Burns on the involuntary exclusion list. Mr. Burns failed to answer the petition, and a default judgment was filed, and the board issued an order placing him on the exclusion list. On November 20th, 2024, Mr. Burns filed his request for removal from the involuntary exclusion list. The Office of Enforcement Counsel filed an answer objecting to Mr. Burns' request. A hearing in this matter was held March of 2025. OEC appeared but did not provide any additional testimony or documentary evidence relying on the earlier record. Mr. Burns appeared and testified stating that on December 23rd, 2015, he and his autistic son had gone to the casino for dinner at what was then Sands Bethworks Casino, now Wind Creek, Bethlehem, and his son began to experience an autism-related outburst. Mr. Burns was told he would need to wait for an escort to accompany he and his son across the casino floor to exit. His son's outburst continued to increase, and Mr. Burns, after waiting a period of time, decided to walk across the gaming floor with his son without an escort to attempt to get him out of the property. He was confronted by security, and when this occurred, his son's outburst increased. Security then attempted to grab Mr. Burns' son. Mr. Burns reacted and punched the security officer. During his testimony, Mr. Burns stated that his behavior was wrong and he was going through some personal issues at the time. He understands that he overreacted, but he was trying to protect his son, and that following the incident, he voluntarily entered and successfully completed anger management classes. Following a hearing, a report and recommendation was issued recommending that Mr. Burns petition be granted and he be removed from the involuntary exclusion list. This matter is now ripe for the board's consideration.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Manzano Diaz moves that the board adopt the report and recommendations issued by the Office of Hearings and Appeals as described by the Office of Chief Counsel, and that Robert Burns' petition for removal from the involuntary exclusion list be granted.
Commissioner Ralston seconds.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion's adopted.
At the risk of being redundant, I too, would, on the behalf of the Office of Chief Counsel, would like to wish Commissioner Regan the best. She's been one of the most thorough and thoughtful commissioners we've had, second only to the other 6 who remain that I have to answer to. But it has been a real
Thanks,
pleasure,
Steve.
Fran. Thank you.
You're a wise man, Mr. Cook. Thank you, Chad and Steve. We will now have the Bureau of Licensing matters presented by the Director of the Bureau of Licensing, Sean Hannon. Sean.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Today's first licensing matter for your consideration is the renewal of a fantasy contest operator license for FanDuel PA LLC. The company was formed in 2018 and its principal place of business is in New York City. The company intends to continue offering fantasy sports contests to players in the Commonwealth via an online platform. The Bureau of Investigation and Enforcement has completed its investigation of the company, and the Bureau of Licensing has provided you with a background investigation and suitability report. I've provided you with a draft order and asked the board to consider the order to approve the fantasy contest operator license for FanDuel PA LLC.
Enforcement Counsel has no objection.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Commissioner Ralston moves that the board grant the fantasy contest operator license renewal as described by the Bureau of Licensing.
Commissioner Regan seconds.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes.
Next, we have consideration of the renewal of the fantasy contest operator license for Sports Hub PA LLC. The company was formed in 2018 and its principal place of business is in Minneapolis, Minnesota. The company intends to continue offering various types of paid fantasy sports contests to players in the Commonwealth. The Bureau of Investigation and Enforcement has completed its investigation of the company, and the Bureau of Licensing has provided you with a background investigation and suitability report. I've provided you with a draft order and asked the board to consider the order to approve the fantasy contest operator license for Sports Hub PA LLC.
Enforcement Counsel has no objection.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Commissioner Regan moves that the board grant the fantasy contest operator license renewal as described by the Bureau of Licensing.
Commissioner Dermody seconds.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion's adopted.
Also, we have consideration of approval of an interactive gaming manufacturer license for Sports Information Services Limited, doing business as Canby. The company is licensed in Pennsylvania and is in good standing as a sports wagering operator. Under the Gaming Act, the board may use an abbreviated process to consider the application of a currently licensed manufacturer. The Bureau of Licensing, Office of Enforcement Counsel, and the Bureau of Investigation and Enforcement has reviewed the application for an interactive gaming manufacturer license for Sports Information Services Limited, and I have provided you with the results of that review. I've also provided you with a draft order and asked that the board consider the order to approve the interactive gaming manufacturer license for Sports Information Services Limited.
Enforcement Counsel has no objection.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dermody moves that the board grant the interactive gaming manufacturer license as described by the Bureau of Licensing.
Commissioner Dillon seconds.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion's adopted.
Next, for consideration is the Video Gaming Terminal Operator License Renewal for Lucky Day Gaming, Pennsylvania, LLC. The company was formed in 2018 and its principal place of business is in Skokie, Illinois. The company intends to maintain and operate video game terminals on the premises of VGT establishment licensees in Pennsylvania. The Bureau of Investigation and Enforcement has completed its investigation of the company, and the Bureau of Licensing has provided you with a background investigation and suitability report. I have provided you with a draft order and asked the board consider the order to approve the video gaming terminal operator license for Lucky Day Gaming, Pennsylvania, LLC.
Enforcement Counsel has no objection.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dillon moves that the board grant the video gaming terminal operating license renewal as described by the Bureau of Licensing.
Commissioner Dunbar seconds.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes.
In addition, we have consideration of 7 video gaming terminal establishment license renewals. The locations being presented today include 4 Love's Travel Stops and Country Stores. doing business as Love Travel Stops number 324, 358, 366, and 407. Two Raceway Management Company Incorporated is doing business as Onvo Avis and Onvo Hickory Run, and United Refining Company of Pennsylvania doing business as Quick Fill number 200. The Bureau of Investigation and Enforcement has now completed its investigation of each, and the Bureau of Licensing has provided you with a background investigation and suitability report. I provide you with draft orders and ask that the board first consider the order to renew the video game terminal establishment license for Love's Travel Stop number 324, located at 440 West 3rd Street in Mifflinville.
Enforcement Council has no objection.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dunbar moves that the board grant the video gaming terminal establishment license renewal as described by the Bureau of Licensing.
Commissioner Manzano Diaz, second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion's adopted.
Next would be the order to renew the license for Love's Travel Stop number 358, located at 3700 Mountain Road in Hamburg.
Enforcement Council has no objection.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Manzano Diaz moves that the board grant the video gaming terminal establishment license renewal as described by the Office, the Bureau of Licensing.
Commissioner Ralston seconds.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion's adopted.
Next, the order to renew the license for Love's Travel Stop number 366, located at 22 Old Forge Road in Jonestown.
Enforcement Council has no objection.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Commissioner Ralston moves that the board grant the video gaming terminal establishment license renewal as described by the Bureau of Licensing.
Commissioner Regan seconds.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion's adopted.
Also, the order to renew the license for Love's Travel Stop number 407, located at 1165 Harrisburg Pike, Carlisle.
Enforcement Council has no objection.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Commissioner Regan moves that the board grant the video gaming terminal establishment license renewal as described by the Bureau of Licensing.
Commissioner Dermody seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Next is the order to renew the license for Raceway Management Company Incorporated, doing business as Onvo Avis, located at 3163 Woodward Avenue in Avis.
Enforcement Council has no objection.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dermody moves that the board grant the video gaming terminal establishment license renewal as described by the Bureau of Licensing.
Commissioner Dillon seconds.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes.
Next is the order to renew the license for Raceway Management Company Incorporated, doing business as Onvo Hickory Run, located at 2550 Route 534 in Whitehaven.
Enforcement Council has no objection.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dillon moves that the board grant the video gaming terminal establishment license renewal as described by the Bureau of Licensing.
Commissioner Dunbar seconds.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion's adopted.
And finally, the order to renew the license for United Refining Company of Pennsylvania, doing business as Quick Fill number 200, located at 1001 East Spring Street in Titusville.
Enforcement Council has no objection.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dunbar moves that the board grant the video gaming terminal establishment license renewal as described by the Bureau of Licensing.
Commissioner Manzano Diaz, second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion's adopted.
Next, there are principal and key employee licenses. The Bureau of Licensing provided you with a proposed order for 7 principals and 15 key employees. I ask that the board consider the order approving these licenses.
Enforcement Council has no objection.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Manzano Diaz moves that the board grant the principal and key employee licenses as described by the Bureau of Licensing.
Commissioner Ralston seconds.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion's adopted.
There are also principal and key employee temporary credentials. The Bureau of Licensing provided you with an order regarding the issuance of temporary credentials for 6 principals and 10 key employees. I ask that the board consider the order approving these credentials.
Enforcement Council has no objection.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Commissioner Ralston moves that the board grant the temporary principal and key employee credentials as described by the Bureau of Licensing.
Commissioner Regan seconds.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion's adopted.
Additionally, for your consideration are gaming employee permits and non-gaming employee registrations. The Bureau of Licensing provided you with a list of 460 individuals to whom the Bureau has granted temporary or full occupation permits, and 186 individuals to whom the Bureau has granted registrations under the authority delegated to the Bureau of Licensing. I ask that the board consider a motion approving the order.
Enforcement Council has no objection.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Regan moves that the board approve the applications for gaming employee occupation permits and non-gaming employee registrations as described by the Bureau of Licensing.
Commissioner Dermody seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion's adopted.
Next, there is a recommendation of denial for 3 gaming and 2 non-gaming applicants. The Bureau of Licensing has provided you with the order addressing the applicants who the Office of Enforcement Counsel has recommended for denial. I ask that the board consider the order approving these denials.
The Office of Enforcement Counsel continues to request denial in each matter.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dermody moves that the board deny the gaming and non-gaming employee applications as described by the Bureau of Licensing.
Commissioner Dillon seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
The next matter for consideration are withdrawal requests. In each case, the license, permit, or registration is no longer required. For today's meeting, I have provided the board with 20 gaming and 10 non-gaming applicants. I ask that the board consider the order approving these withdrawals.
Enforcement Council has no objection.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dillon moves that the board grant the withdrawal in gaming and non-gaming employee applications as described by the Bureau of Licensing.
Commissioner Dunbar seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion's adopted.
Finally, for your consideration are gaming service provider registrations. The Bureau of Licensing provided you with an order and an attached list of 3 registered gaming service provider applicants. I ask that the board consider the order registering these gaming service providers.
Enforcement Council has no objection.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dunbar moves that the board approve the gaming service provider registrations as described by the Bureau of Licensing.
Commissioner Manzano Diaz approves.
Seconds.
Seconds, thank you.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion's adopted.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That concludes Bureau of Licensing.
Thank you, Sean. Next is the Office of Enforcement Counsel, Cyrus Petrie. Cyrus.
Good morning. Yes, good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. The Office of Enforcement Counsel will present 17 matters today for the board's consideration, in which we will request the approval of 1 consent agreement, 2 revocations, and 14 involuntary exclusions. The next matter on the agenda for the board's consideration is a consent agreement between the Office of Enforcement Counsel and an individual identified by the initials ST. The matter will be presented by Senior Enforcement Counsel John Crow. ST is present, and at this time I request that if ST is going to present anything to the board, that he stand and be sworn.
ST, would you stand and be sworn, please?
Good morning. Would you please raise your right hand? Thank you. Do you swear if not swear you confirm to tell the truth today? I do. Thank you.
Thank you. You may proceed.
Chair, members of the board, John Crow, CROHE, Senior Enforcement Counsel for the Office of Enforcement Counsel. The next matter on the agenda for the board's consideration is a consent agreement reached between ST and the Office of Enforcement Counsel, in which ST agrees to place himself on the voluntary casino, interactive, video gaming terminal, and fantasy contest self-exclusion lists for a lifetime period. On April 5th, 2021, ST established an account on FanDuel's sports wagering platform. As part of the account creation process, ST signed and agreed to the terms and conditions required of a FanDuel iGaming account user. On January 14th, 2023, ST placed a $25 parlay wager on the FanDuel sports wagering platform on National Football League offerings. ST lost this wager. On January 29th, 2023, ST placed a $50 parlay wager on the FanDuel sports wagering platform on National Football League offerings. ST lost this wager. During this time, ST was a professional athlete rostered on a National Football League team. Neither of the wagers involved the team on which he was rostered. Each of the 2 wagers placed by ST occurred while ST was located in Pennsylvania. On April 21st, 2023, FanDuel suspended ST's account. Board regulations strictly prohibited a professional athlete from engaging in sports wagering on sporting events or the performance of an individual in sporting events in the sport or league in which the athlete is involved. The Office of Enforcement Counsel and ST respectfully request that the board approve the consent agreement and stipulations of settlement, and that ST place himself on the voluntary casino, interactive, video gaming terminal, and fantasy contest self-exclusion lists for a lifetime period.
ST, would you like to address the board?
I'd just like to say thank you for considering me, and I've learned my lesson entirely. I just want to move on my life. It's been a rough 2 years for me, so any decision, I'm just grateful to get the opportunity to sit in front of you guys.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the board? Hearing none, may I have a motion, please?
Commissioner Ralston moves that the board approve the consent agreement between the Office of Enforcement Counsel and ST as described by the Office of Enforcement Counsel.
Commissioner Regan seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion's adopted. Thank you, ST. Good luck.
The next two matters on the agenda consist of enforcement actions in which the Office of Enforcement Counsel filed complaints seeking the revocation of a permit and registration previously issued by the board. The complaint in each matter has been filed with the board's Office of Hearings and Appeal and properly served upon the individual named in each complaint. The individual named in each complaint failed to respond within 30 days as required by board regulation. As a result, the Office of Enforcement Counsel filed a request for default judgment in each instance and properly served the same upon each respondent. Therefore, the facts in each complaint are deemed admitted. All filed documents have been provided to the board, and the matters are presently ripe for the board's consideration. In each matter, we will provide a brief summary of the facts and make a request for the appropriate board action.
Good morning, Sarah Kolesar, Kolesar with the Office of Enforcement Counsel. The next matter on the agenda for the board's consideration is the revocation of the non-gaming employee registration issued to Nathan Fiddler. He was previously employed as a public area attendant at Hollywood Casino Grantville. While working at Hollywood Casino Grantville, he retrieved a wallet belonging to a patron from a stall on the casino floor, took $143 in cash from the wallet, and then threw the wallet away. After being confronted by casino staff and Pennsylvania State Police, Mr. Fiddler admitted to the theft and returned the $143. As a result, Mr. Fiddler was terminated and was criminally charged by the police. Mr. Fiddler is not currently employed in the Pennsylvania gaming industry. At this time, the Office of Enforcement Counsel requests that the board revoke the non-gaming employee registration issued to Nathan Fiddler.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Commissioner Regan moves that the board approve the revocation of Nathan Fiddler's non-gaming employee registration for the conduct described by the Office of Enforcement Counsel.
Commissioner Dermody seconds.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes.
The next matter on the agenda for the board's consideration is the revocation of the gaming employee occupation permit issued to Tyasia Waring. She was previously employed as a main banker at Live Casino Philadelphia. While working at Live Casino Philadelphia, Ms. Waring took $2,000 in chips from her drawer to which she was not entitled to, hid, and ultimately left the premises with the chips. Casino personnel identified that there was a shortage at the chip bank, and surveillance personnel identified Ms. Waring's actions. As a result, Ms. Waring was terminated and was criminally charged by police. Ms. Waring is not currently employed in the Pennsylvania gaming industry. At this time, the Office of Enforcement Counsel requests that the board revoke the gaming employee occupation permit issued to Tyasia Waring.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dermody moves that the board approve the revocation of Tyasia Waring's gaming employee occupation permit for the conduct described by the Office of Enforcement Counsel.
Commissioner Dillon seconds.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion's adopted.
The remaining matters on the agenda consist of enforcement actions in which the Office of Enforcement Counsel filed petitions seeking the involuntary exclusion of individuals who are inimical to the interests of the Commonwealth and are licensed gaming therein. In each instance, the petition for exclusion has been filed with the Board's Office of Hearings and Appeal and properly served upon the individual named in the petition. The individual named in each petition failed to respond within 30 days as required by board regulation. As a result, the Office of Enforcement Counsel filed a request for default judgment in each instance and properly served the same upon each individual. Therefore, all facts in each petition are deemed admitted. All filed documents have been provided to the board, and the matters are presently ripe for the board's consideration. In each instance, if the board orders the proposed exclusion, each individual's photo, personal identifiers, and a summary of the inimical conduct may be placed on the board's public website. Once again, in each matter, we will provide a brief summary of the facts and make a request for the appropriate board action.
Once again, Sarah Colasar with the Office of Enforcement Counsel. The next matter on the agenda for the board's consideration is the petition to place George Chapin on the involuntary exclusion list. Mr. Chapin arrived at Parks Casino with 2 adult disabled individuals and left them unattended while he went inside the casino. One of the individuals exited the vehicle and roamed the casino and parking lot while unattended, and the other individual remained in the vehicle while unattended. Mr. Chapin arrived back to his vehicle 22 minutes later and discovered one of the individuals was not present. Eventually, Mr. Chapin contacted Ben Salem Township Police and Park Security to report the missing individual. The missing individual was found by Ben Salem Township Police and Park Security. The police took the individuals and Mr. Chapin's care from the premises. The missing disabled individual was unattended approximately 50 minutes before being identified by Park Security and the Ben Salem Police Department. During Mr. Chapin's time in the casino, he placed sports bets at the sports book. As a result of this incident, Mr. Chapin was criminally charged and entered into a guilty plea to endangering the welfare of a care-dependent person for whom he is responsible, a misdemeanor offense. He was evicted from Parks Casino as a result of this incident. At this time, the Office of Enforcement Counsel requests that the board place George Chapin on the involuntary exclusion list.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dillon moves that the board approve the addition of George Chapin to the PGCB involuntary exclusion list for the conduct described by the Office of Enforcement Counsel.
Commissioner Dunbar seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
The next 3 matters on the agenda for the board's consideration is the petition to place Gabriella Bianco, Robin Schnepp, and Anthony Lausch on the involuntary exclusion list. With the board's permission, I will read one set of facts and then request that each individual be placed on the involuntary exclusion list. Mr. Lausch was previously employed as a table game supervisor, and Ms. Schnepp was previously employed as a table games dealer at Rivers Casino, Pittsburgh. Mr. Lausch and Ms. Schnepp, while working 2 scheduled shifts in their respective positions, engaged in collusion while Ms. Schnepp was acting as a dealer at an interblock roulette game, and Mr. Lausch was engaged in supervising the interblock roulette game. On 2 different dates during their assigned shifts, Ms. Schnepp deliberately spun the roulette ball in the wrong direction, which resulted in an invalid spin, and then without surveillance review, and in a manner that is inconsistent with interblock roulette standard operating procedures, Mr. Lausch approved the invalid spins. These actions allowed Gabriella Bianco and a male patron to place bets and increase bets after a winning number had been determined, which resulted in those patrons being paid a total of $10,901 to which they were not entitled to. On both dates, Ms. Bianco and the male patron were involved in these incidents and ultimately were discovered to have a personal relationship with Mr. Lausch. In addition, Mr. Lausch fraudulently issued the male patron a comp in the amount of $35 to which he was not entitled. All 3 of the individuals involved were criminally charged as a result of these incidents. Mr. Lausch and Ms. Schnepp were terminated for their actions and are not currently employed in the Pennsylvania gaming industry. At this time, the Office of Enforcement Counsel requests that the board place Gabriella Bianco on the involuntary exclusion list.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Manzano-Diaz moves that the board approve the addition of Gabriela Bianco to the PGCB involuntary exclusion list for the conduct described by the Office of Enforcement Counsel.
Commissioner Ralston seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion's adopted.
At this time, the Office of Enforcement Counsel requests that the board place Robin Schnepp on the involuntary exclusion list.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Commissioner Ralston moves that the board approve the addition of Robin Schnapp to the PGCB involuntary exclusion list for the conduct described by the Office of Enforcement Counsel.
Commissioner Regan seconds.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes.
At this time, the Office of Enforcement Counsel requests that the board place Anthony Lausch on the involuntary exclusion list.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Commissioner Regan moves that the board approve the addition of Anthony Lausch to the PGCB involuntary exclusion list for the conduct described by the Office of Enforcement Counsel.
Commissioner Dermody seconds.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion's adopted.
Good afternoon, Thomas Monahan, Monaghan, with the Office of Enforcement Counsel. The next matter on the agenda for the board's consideration is a request to place Thomas Babb on the board's interactive gaming involuntary exclusion list. Mr. Babb opened an interactive gaming account on the BetParks interactive gaming website, made multiple deposits totaling $10,650. His wagering activity resulted in losing the entirety of the money he deposited. Subsequently, he failed or refused to pay $6,930 that he owed to BetParks as a result of his gaming activity. BetParks closed Mr. Babb's interactive gaming account. The Office of Enforcement Counsel now requests the board place Thomas Babb on the interactive gaming involuntary exclusion list.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dermody moves that the board approve the addition of Thomas Babb to the Pennsylvania Gaming Control Board's involuntary interactive gaming exclusion list for the conduct described by the Office of Enforcement Counsel.
Commissioner Dillon seconds.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes.
The next three matters on the agenda for the board's consideration stem from the same or similar set of facts. Therefore, I will cite one set of facts, then ask for each individual to be placed on the board's interactive gaming involuntary exclusion list. Jacqueline Farabee, Julia Cruz, and Richard Reyes each created multiple accounts on the DraftKings interactive gaming platform using the personal identifying information of other individuals. All the accounts were closed and the device used were blocked from being used by DraftKings. The Office of Enforcement Counsel now requests the board place Jacqueline Farabee on the interactive gaming involuntary exclusion list.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dillon moves that the board approve the addition of Jacqueline Farabee to the PGCB involuntary interactive gaming exclusion list for the conduct described by the Office of Enforcement Counsel.
Commissioner Dunbar seconds.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes.
The Office of Enforcement Counsel now requests the board place Julia Cruz on the interactive gaming involuntary exclusion list.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Manzano-Diaz moves that the board approve the addition of Julia Cruz to the PGCB involuntary interactive gaming exclusion list for the conduct described by the Office of Enforcement Counsel.
Commissioner Ralston seconds.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion is adopted.
The Office of Enforcement Counsel now requests the board place Richard Reyes on the interactive gaming involuntary exclusion list.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Commissioner Ralston moves that the board approve the addition of Richard Reyes to the PGCB involuntary interactive gaming exclusion list for the conduct described by the Office of Enforcement Counsel.
Commissioner Regan seconds.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes.
The next matter on the agenda for the board's consideration is a request to place Shauna Perry on the board's interactive gaming involuntary exclusion list. Shauna Perry created multiple accounts on the BetMGM and Borgata interactive gaming platforms using the personal identifying information of other individuals. All the accounts were closed and devices used were blocked from being used by BetMGM and Borgata. The Office of Enforcement Counsel now requests the board place Shauna Perry on the interactive gaming involuntary exclusion list.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dunbar moves that the board approve the addition of Shauna Perry to the PGCB involuntary gaming exclusion list for the conduct described by the Office of Enforcement Counsel.
Commissioner Manzano-Diaz seconds.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
Good morning, Chair, members of the board. Andrea Roberts, Roberts, Assistant Enforcement Counsel. The next matter on the agenda is a request to place Lian Liang on the involuntary exclusion list. Mr. Liang picked up $5,000 in currency that had been dropped by another patron while at Wind Creek, Bethlehem. Wind Creek permanently banned Mr. Liang from their property as a result of this incident. Mr. Liang was criminally charged for his actions. At this time, the Office of Enforcement Counsel requests the board place Lian Liang on the involuntary exclusion list.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Regan moves that the board approve the addition of Leanne Lang to the PGCB involuntary exclusion list for the conduct described by the Office of Enforcement Counsel.
Commissioner Dermody seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
The next two matters on the agenda are related and are requests to place Chuyang Wang and To Young on the involuntary exclusion list. With the board's permission, I will read one set of facts and then request that each individual be placed on the exclusion list. Ms. Wang and Mr. Young were present at Parks Casino when they left a 5-year-old minor unattended in a vehicle for approximately 50 minutes while they entered the gaming floor and played table games. Parks permanently banned Ms. Wang and Mr. Young and from their property as a result of this incident. Ms. Wang and Mr. Young were criminally charged for their actions. At this time, the Office of Enforcement Counsel requests the board place Chuyan Wang on the involuntary exclusion list.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dermody moves that the board approve the addition of Chunyan Wang to the Pennsylvania Gaming Control Board's involuntary exclusion list for the conduct described by the Office of Enforcement Counsel.
Commissioner Dillon seconds.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion's adopted.
At this time, the Office of Enforcement Counsel requests the board place To Young on the involuntary exclusion list.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dillon moves that the board approve the addition of To Yang to the PGCB involuntary exclusion list for the conduct described by the Office of Enforcement Counsel.
Commissioner Dunbar seconds.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion's adopted.
Morning, Madam Chair, Commissioners. Juan Sanchez, SANCHEZ, Assistant Enforcement Counsel with the Office of Enforcement Counsel. The next matter on the agenda for the board's consideration is a request to place Devon Cleveland on the interactive gaming involuntary exclusion list. Devon Cleveland created multiple Barstool Sportsbooks interactive gaming accounts using the personal identifying information of others, funded through $1,900 in deposits, some of which were from lost and/or stolen financial instruments. Mr. Cleveland also engaged in bonus abuse and unsuccessfully sought to recover funds to which he was not entitled. All the accounts were closed, the devices were blocked, and no criminal charges were filed. The Office of Enforcement Counsel now requests the board place Devon Cleveland on the interactive gaming involuntary exclusion list.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dunbar moves that the board approve the addition of Devon Cleveland to the PGCB involuntary interactive gaming exclusion list for the conduct described by the Office of Enforcement Counsel.
Commissioner Manzano Diaz, second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion's adopted.
Again, Juan Sanchez with the Office of Enforcement Counsel. The next matter on the agenda is a request to place Eric Talley on the involuntary exclusion list. Eric Talley grabbed a total of $20,500 in checks out of dealer floats at Rivers Casino, Philadelphia, and Parks Casino, and then fled the casinos. In a third incident, Mr. Talley was caught when he used a false identification at Live Casino Philadelphia because he was previously banned from Live Casino arising out of his involvement in a chip theft at Live Casino in Maryland. Mr. Talley was criminally charged in all incidents and is court ordered to pay $16,000 in restitution. All of the casinos permanently banned Mr. Talley as a result of these incidents. The Office of Enforcement Counsel now requests the board place Eric Talley on the involuntary exclusion list.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Manzano Diaz moves that the board approve the addition of Eric Talley to the PGCB involuntary exclusion list for the conduct described by the Office of Enforcement Counsel.
Commissioner Wilson seconds.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion's adopted.
Commissioner Regan, thank you for your service and your support. You'll be missed, and hopefully we'll see you next month.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, I wish you well, and
Thank
that
you so
concludes our
much.
business.
Much appreciated. Thank you, Cyrus and OEC. The last item on the agenda today is public comment. Is there anyone in the room that would like to address the board? Seeing no one, that concludes today's meeting. The next public meeting of the board will be held on Wednesday, July 23rd, 2025, at 10 a.m. at this location. And now, may I please have a motion to adjourn?
Commissioner Ralston moves for adjournment.
Commissioner Regan seconds.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? The meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.